Hey, today I want to talk about the Master of Social Work application process, specifically your resume. So, as a part of the application, they do, at least the schools I apply to, FSU, USF, and oh, why am I drawing a blank? Oh, University of Kentucky. And I did start the process for the University of Central Florida, and all of them do require you to upload your resume. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what's included on my resume. Wanted to share just some tips that I received from my resume writer. I had my resume redone a few years ago, and then also I clung heavily to the admissions advisor, her advice on resume and what should be included. And this is for folks who are not coming from a social work background. I am in marketing, I have my own business, and so my background is not in social work. And so this is for folks who are not in social work, but they are trying to get into a Master of Social Work program. So this is the resume portion of that. Also, this is for someone who already has their resume created. We're not creating a resume from scratch. I already have my resume or already had it, and then I just tweaked it for social work. All right, let's get into it. Okay, here is a copy of the resume that I submitted to Florida State, Kentucky, and USF. I tweaked it a little bit to get rid of some of my info, but really this is pretty much the resume that I submitted. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is formatting. This may seem basic, but a lot of people don't pay attention to it. And I just think that might be because some people just don't have an attention to detail, and that's okay. But when you're submitting it to school and even to a potential employer, you want to make sure the formatting of your resume looks good. So what I mean by formatting is, I mean spacing. Like this spacing here is actually a little off. That doesn't bother me too much, and it might have gotten skewed when I exported it. But what I would do is actually go back and fix the spacing so that the spacing between here, up here, I'm up here by my email, and the spacing between the number and LinkedIn are the same. Here and here is slightly off, but not enough that I don't think most people would know. But for the most part, my margins are aligned. So my arrows are aligned with the next arrow. These longer arrows are in alignment with these. Okay, things are not too close to the edge to where they're being clipped off. So you want to make sure not to have it too close, so that if it's too close, it'll create a tension line, is what it's called. And so it'll just kind of cause visual tension because it's too close to the edge. So you want to prevent that from happening. You also want to be consistent. Here I have the summary under where I worked as well as my title, and that has a background that's gray. So you want to maintain that consistency throughout with whatever you start. I have the arrows here. I continue the arrows throughout. Okay, so you want to be consistent. You want to be consistent with whatever text or whatever font that you choose. You want to go with a serif or a sans serif. You don't want to go with anything that's script or kind of like Cosmic Sans or something like that, which is just a little bit off. You want to go with a nice, clean, simple font. You were not trying to be creative here. We want it to be legible for folks. Also here you see my first line of text is bolded. It's bolded for my title, where I worked, and then the time, and then as well as kind of like these little subheadings. So you want to be consistent there. You want to leave enough space between each of your jobs, right? You want to be consistent in how you format your title here. I have my position, I have where it is, like the company it's for, and how long. Again, position, my title, company, how long. Same format. Title, company, how long. Okay, you want to try to, and I know this is really detail oriented, but it really is important when you're submitting a resume. And also, I think this again will help you if you're also submitting it to an employer. You don't want to submit a professional resume that's sloppy, that the margins are off and things are misspelled, and Nothing is consistent. The same with color. If you decide to add color, hopefully you can see the color here. Let me zoom in a little bit. All right, this is kind of like a green. There's a hint of green in here, blue. We have the green here. This is all consistent. These icons are a different color than the main black, right? But we're keeping it to like a blue, bluish green, black, and gray. I don't have a ton of color, and the colors here are muted. You could go with a different blue. You can go with a more bold green, but keep it consistent and not too bright. I wouldn't go with a lime green or anything like that. I would keep it pretty muted, okay? So formatting is just really important. And then here's my second page. You want to keep that formatting, again, consistent. I have my titles of the section. They are the same color. They are lined with the next section. All these little things matter. I did change it up here. I don't know why I chose check boxes, but I like my check boxes. So I kept my check boxes here. And then also I made sure to number my page too. So just pay attention to formatting. Also, you want to pay attention to your spelling and your punctuation and things like that. A shortcut is basically download Grammarly. Grammarly has a free version of their program, and just use it. It's really great to clean up punctuation, spelling. Sometimes they even help with restructuring sentences so that they're more clear. So I would say run your resume through Grammarly before you submit it, and even beyond Grammarly, because Grammarly will not catch everything. So one, I would also have a person edit my resume, and two, this is what I did. This is what I do for really important things that I have to submit. I'll go ahead and print them out and go old school and kind of go line by line with my pen to make sure that I haven't missed anything. So you want to make sure you have, and I have my checklist here, you have your formatting down. Use Grammarly's free version to check for punctuation and grammar on all those things, and also have someone edit it for you if you can. A friend, someone who is good at editing. Next, obviously, I'm applying to social work, but for 15 years, I have been in marketing. I spoke to the advisor, and I'm in marketing. There's no way I'm going to go through and try to pull out everything within my marketing job that might seem related to social work. Like, it's marketing. It is what it is. I think what's most important, if you're talking about switching careers and things like that, that can be done in your essay and your statement of purpose. I did work at a nonprofit right after college. And so I had exposure to social work. I was an administrative assistant and volunteer coordinator, so it is what it is, but I wanted to highlight that specifically, so that's why I have that broken out that way. Here, I did list out my leadership experience. I did try to make sure I put some things that would apply to social work. So things that are transferable with my marketing experience and social work. And I really honestly feel like all of this is transferable. Strategic planning, training and development, I'm trauma informed, client relationship management, problem solving, project management, marketing, outreach, right? That's a big one. Financial management, communication, team building, and mentoring. So I think I changed some of these from like a traditional resume. Some of my other marketing resume might have like some really specific marketing and analysis and landing page, review. So I did tweak this a bit here. And then here was a really big part that I wanted to highlight. I really wanted them to see all of the volunteer work that I did and how closely this is related to social work. So I left out the elementary school name just for privacy, but I did teach a group there of kids. I've done that a few times, 6 weeks at a time. Commission 127. This is a nonprofit, specifically in the foster and adoption industry. This is another nonprofit, a mental health service nonprofit, which is huge in social work and with me wanting to be a therapist. And then Foster Youth of America, again, very heavy and social work experience. And then I worked at Advent Health, and just thought it was important that I was a part of the initial volunteer team that was administering the vaccines. And so that was a really cool experience. So I wanted to beef up this section. Like, that first page is all marketing. But here, worked at a nonprofit, have some specific leadership skills and experience that can translate to the nonprofit world, and really wanted to highlight that, hey, I have some experience volunteering with children and families. This is also a really big one that I wanted to highlight and separate, even though it's by itself. TBRI, Trust-Based Relational Intervention. And this is a certification that I received. And so this is really, really big. I know a lot of social workers actually have this training. A lot of counselors have this training. So I think this looks really, really good on my resume. And I know it played a role in Kentucky because I remember the admissions advisor sent me a text message after I submitted everything, and she specifically asked for my certificate to send it. So I feel like if that wasn't important, they would not have asked for it, because she reached out and said, hey, can you send your certificate of completion to me so that I can give it to the review board? I think that played a role in my getting accepted into the program. And then here at the end, I think the least pertinent information is just my education history. So that's my experience, and that's how I tailored my marketing resume and did highlight my volunteer experience and nonprofit experience and my certifications and anything that's related to social work, nonprofit, and things like that. Outside of formatting, something that came up is if you've been working just in any industry for a number of years, they understand that your resume is not going to be one page. So if it's more than two, I think that's a little bit too much. And the admissions advisor mentioned that. So really, I would suggest getting it to 2 pages. Again, if you've been working in any industry 10 and 15 years, obviously you're going to have a lot of experience. But what I would do is just try to consolidate it at least to 2 pages. And so if you have to, just remove some bullet points and just highlight the most pertinent, especially if you do positions and you're moving laterally. And then also for me, it worked because I have a lot of experience that for these last 2, I didn't even add bullet points, and that saved me some space. And have someone edit your resume. I sent my resume to I think I had my husband look at it, the resume writer looked at it, and then I have one of my best friends is a licensed clinical social worker. What I think is even more important is going to be your personal statement. But again, wanted to make this video because it can be scary if you're coming from a non-social work background and feeling inadequate and like you have nothing at all to give or to add. But there are transferable skills in any industry. And what I will say as a quick last tip, if you have a challenge trying to think of what skill overlaps and what can transfer into social work. So if you have kind of like a skills section on your resume, a really easy thing to do is just put in what you do in social work and put it into ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, whatever you use, and ask them to find the overlap for you. And then pull out what it says, those transferable skills. So that's just an easy way. And then that might help you think of some other things that you've done within your career that ChatGPT did not highlight, that you are like, oh, I actually did this other thing, and that really relates. That can transfer into social work experience. So I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions about your resume, let me know down in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. And until next time, have a good one. Thanks.